Everyone, I'm Matt, founder and CEO of LiveSchool, and this is the LiveSchool podcast. Our guest today is Bob Salladino, principal at Springton Lake Middle School in Upper Providence Township, PA. Thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate you taking the time.
No problem. Excited to be here.
So, we're going to start out with the fun stuff. Tell us about Mega Prize Table Day.
All right. So we have Mega Prize Table Day multiple times throughout the year. We try to time it up around maybe break. So before winter break, before spring break, and then we do one more near the end of the school year. And so while the kids have different opportunities to redeem what we call our Spartan Bucks throughout the year, these are those big days that they save up for. We have bigger prizes. We've got raffles on these days, and we just set up shop. We've got 15 or so tables with all kinds of things spread out, and it's all hands on deck. And the kids are shopping, perusing, and everybody's logged into LiveSchool as they're managing the purchases the kids are making on Mega Prize Table Day.
Now, you told me just before we started recording that as a principal, a busy principal with so many things on your plate, that you look forward to Mega Prize Table Day. Can you just unpack that a little bit? Like, what is it about this that, for you, I'm sure you have lots of other things to work on day to day and week to week. What's so special about this day?
I think it's so important to recognize kids that are doing the right thing, they're meeting expectations. And the way to do that is to find things that are interesting to them, motivating for them, things that they might want to work towards. And the Mega Prize Table Day is just an opportunity to celebrate all of the great things the kids are doing, the success that they're having. And you see kids, they're just happy to be able to to spend the Spartan bucks that they have accrued, and it's just a lot of fun.
And you mentioned that there's other opportunities for students throughout the year. Just curious to touch on those. Are those like more tangible or intangible sorts of experiences? What all is on offer?
So one of the things that we've tried to do a better job at this year is actually coming up with a schedule so that
Mm,
kids can know what to expect, when they'll be able to redeem their Spartan bucks. Our mascot is the Spartan, so that's the currency is the Spartan buck. And so, what we typically do is at the school level, every Friday, there's some opportunity school wide to be able to
mm.
redeem Spartan Bucks. Some weeks it's something simple like we sell soft pretzels after school on Fridays, and so the kids can redeem some of their Spartan Bucks to get a coupon to get a free pretzel. Other Fridays we might have a tangible giveaway, whether there's stickers that are available or some of our Springton Lake wristbands. And then other Fridays, we have gift card raffles where the kids can redeem some of their Spartan Bucks for tickets to enter into a raffle for gift cards or larger prizes. So we try to have something every Friday at the school level for the kids to do. And when they have that schedule and see that schedule, they can budget their Spartan Bucks and decide, here's how many I have in my LiveSchool bank. I want to spend some now. I want to save them up because I know a bigger opportunity is coming up down the road, or maybe I know that Mega Prize Table Day is coming up down the road, and that's really what I want to save them up for. So the kids can use LiveSchool to manage their Spartan Bucks and kind of see what they have and how they want to use them.
Sounds like some financial literacy lessons that they're kind of able to experience. What led you to think that sort of a school-wide positive behavior system was a good priority? I mean, set aside live school, just the idea of trying to get everyone on the same page and motivating, recognizing students' positive. What what jumped out about that as an opportunity?
Well, I mean, I think that as principal of our school, creating and helping to support a positive school culture, having kids feel good about our school, have know that they can have fun when they come here. That's a big part of my job as well. I want them to learn, I want them to be successful, but I also want this to be a positive experience for them every day.
Mm,
And sometimes our attention can be focused on responding to what we don't want in terms of behavior and choices. And I just believe firmly we've got to celebrate and recognize kids for doing the right thing and catching them for doing the right thing. And I mean, even as adults, we respond to those things, right? Who doesn't like some recognition? Some, whether it's a shout out or something tangible, it matters. And I know that it matters to the 11 and 12-year olds who are at our school.
You know, sometimes teachers can be perhaps a little hesitant with something new like this, especially with that idea of focusing on the positives. Sometimes there can be a sense of, hey, we really expect our kids to be doing these things anyway. Was that a mindset that, you all had conversations about, and curious how you've been able to foster a sense that, this is worth actually recognizing and putting in that effort for things that students are learning how to do.
Yeah, I mean, that has been an ongoing conversation. It's still a conversation. And I would say a few years into having a school-wide system and using LiveSchool as a way to track rewards, I would definitely say we've reached the tipping point now. So now I would say the majority of people are completely on board.
Mm,
Some people in the beginning had the attitude, kids should just do these things.
sure.
This is what we expect. But we saw over time, we could continue to feel that way and believe that and want that to be the case, but
Right.
we just weren't getting what we wanted from them. And so if we wanted a different outcome, we needed to change the input of what we were doing as their teachers and school leaders. So
Mm.
we really have, I think, achieved a tipping point in terms of really the majority of people really on board. And I even can see it in a tangible way when I go into LiveSchool or when you guys send us reports, and I can see on a monthly basis how many teachers are logging in and awarding Spartan Bucks. I see that it has really been fully embraced.
And what do you attribute that to? It sounds like some of it was just showing that, hey, this isn't just the next flash in the pan sort of initiative. This is something we're really committing to, and we want to be positive over the long term. And it sounds like people started to build momentum that way. Were there other factors that you think help cement that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think the momentum was important, and getting people on board and people using it, and then colleagues talking to other colleagues.
Hmm.
This is definitely the kind of thing that, in all honesty, it only works if everyone is on board.
Mm,
In the beginning, kids would say to me, uh, you know, my teachers don't give Spartan Bucks as much as these other teachers over here. And so that's, I don't have as many Spartan Bucks as my friend, not because I'm not doing the right thing, but just because my teachers don't give them as frequently.
sure.
And so I think as a staff, we began to see that the only way that this was going to work was if everybody was doing their part, everybody was on board. Otherwise it's only as strong as the systems that we have in place in the school.
Yeah. So we talked about all the fun stuff that students are privy to through your system, but of course, as you alluded to, there's a goal here, which is really to help foster students' skill sets, their behaviors, help them align their choices with school expectations. So shifting gears, I guess, to that side, how have you created your behavior expectations, and how have you gone about really communicating those and trying to ensure that students, really understand what they mean day to day?
Yeah, so that has been a real significant focus this year to try
Mm,
to improve and really to provide kids with instruction around the expectations.
mhm,
I'll give you an example. So, following our return from winter break, the first day back, it was a reboot day for our positive behavior
mm,
system. So we did not jump back into, where we had left off in math or science or language arts, but it was a full day of reteaching expectations.
hmm,
In every class, that teacher, when the kids had math, for instance, the focus in math was what does appropriate behavior look like in the hallway? And it was instruction around that. We had videos created that involved kids and teachers shared the videos, which certainly made the instruction a little bit more fun and a little bit lighter as they saw their teachers and students in action. But we really wanted to spend some time teaching the expectation. Um, Kids don't respond to hearing something just one time or two times. So we felt like the time that we put in to do a reboot after the break, even though we were dedicating some time, we felt like it would pay dividends over the course of the rest of the year because we would be getting or increasing the likelihood that we'd be getting what we wanted that would
Mm.
then allow us to get back to teaching math and teaching science and everything else that we want to do. So that's been a real focus this year, not just, these are the rules we went over in the beginning of the
Right.
school year. We expect you to know them, but we have to keep revisiting them. And we have a team of teachers that they are looking at our school-wide data, looking at referrals, looking at, is there a hot spot in the building? Is there a
Mm.
particular time of the day? Is there a particular behavior? We made a real big effort this year to try to teach, reinforce, and get our expectations around cell phones and having cell phones off and away during the day. That was a big push, and we've seen a noticeable improvement in that.
And for something like that, so are you literally recognizing students for meeting that expectation or around cell phones?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things we talk to the teachers about, like when you're getting the expected behavior, sometimes just reinforcing everybody,
Mm.
thank you for everybody not having their cell phones out. Everybody's got their cell phones off and away. I'm going to be rewarding everybody with Spartan Bucks. And intermittent rewards like that, when the kids know that there's a chance that the expected behavior can be rewarded, um, you
Yeah,
know,
that
w-
habit starts
yeah,
to build up.
right, and we don't do that every day, but, if I tell the teachers, if there's something that you're not getting in your class, let's make an intentional effort to target that and
Mm.
reinforce it when you're getting it and have that intermittent reinforcement so that you increase the likelihood that you're getting the expected behavior more of the time.
It's just a hunch I have. If I asked one of your teachers, they would probably say, "Yeah, our principal's pretty supportive and pretty plugged in and engaged with making sure that our behavior supports are strong." Was that something you always valued in your career as an educator, or over the past couple of years has it become more important? I'm just curious. Again, I just imagine you have a lot of competing priorities running a school. Why this one gets so much focus?
Yeah, for me, my job is to make sure that the teachers can do their jobs.
Mm.
So while I may not be in the classroom teaching the math lesson or teaching the history lesson, my job is to help create the environment in our school where learning can take place and where the teachers can do what they want to do. And so it's a big part of my job. It's something that I place a priority on. And again, it links into school culture, and when this is a place where kids feel safe, they feel good, they feel like learning can happen, they feel like they're going to get support. It's just they feel good about coming here every day, and their parents feel good about sending them here every day.
Yep. And when it comes to, it sounds like you're always sort of tweaking and improving things. How do you figure out like what students really want and what will get them excited? Have there been things that you and your committee have done to try to figure that out? I feel like in talking to school leaders across the country, um, it can be hard sometimes to
Yeah.
figure out, especially at different grade levels. Kids don't always, express as clearly and succinctly as we might like, oh, these are the things that would really motivate me.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we keep it real simple. We ask them.
Yeah.
And so I'll give you an example. We did a little survey leading up to Mega Prize Table Day this winter. And, we said, like, tell us what you want to see. What will be motivating for you? And it was everything from Taylor Swift stickers. Um, some of
Shocking.
the some of the girls said hair clips,
Mm.
and some of the kids said, "You know what? We would love to see sports cards.
Mm.
Being able to use our Spartan Bucks for that." So I'm like, "Wow!" Like I collect sports cards, but I didn't necessarily think that that was like as big a thing for our kids right now. But you know what? We purchased some baseball cards and basketball cards. It was part of a raffle that we had. It was probably the most popular raffle
Mm.
item at the mega prize table day, and we would not have known that if we hadn't asked the kids. So
Yeah, just keep it simple and ask.
yeah.
I mean, you gotta love that. And it did raise another question I had, which is like the example you gave, like, hey, I actually like, sports cards. As you've added all these systems and positive opportunities, has there been any impact just for like the relationships between students and other students, but also between students and staff? Sometimes it can, depending on the staff member, be more or less challenging to get to know kids on a more personal level and build up those relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've tried to, or we've seen opportunities to kind of leverage the system, to say to a kid, what will work for you? Like, if we're having a particular challenge with a kid, like, what would be motivating for you? And
Mm,
sometimes the incentives we come up with are individualized and personalized, and it's not something that's even available school wide,
right.
but it's something that, you know what, you and I are having a hard time, and I want to support you to get on track in class or while you're in the cafeteria at lunch. What's going to be specifically motivating for you? What will you be willing to work for?
Hmm.
And I think when kids see that we're doing things with them and for them, and not just to them,
Right.
which sometimes happens in schools, I think it goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you pick rewards that they're more excited about, but also just that experience of being asked, and then seeing it come to fruition makes students feel like real people.
And that's the one thing, if you ask, you have to be willing to deliver.
Right.
And we told them, like, what you ask for needs to be, realistic. It needs to be
Right.
reasonable. They know, like, if you ask for something that's kind of like a bigger ticket item, I might be able to come through with that, but it's going to be a raffle.
Right. Right.
If you're asking for something that's small, well, then I can get a lot of those small things, and I can have them available to anybody that wants to use their Spartan buck. So it's kind of like a give and take. But
Yep.
again, we know if you ask, you got to come through.
Yep. Just curious, have there been any asks for you as principal to do anything wacky or, you know, not yet?
No, not really. The one thing, and we haven't talked about it yet, but like one of the things that we did that I feel really good about, and the kids enjoy, one of the incentives, and this is available to them pretty much any day of the week. We've created a lounge adjacent to the cafeteria. We call it the chill room.
Cool.
And so it's kind of an intimate spot for the kids, to like a small group of kids, 15 kids or so, to be able to eat lunch together. They are allowed to have their cell phones out in that space. We've got kind of some neat furniture in that area. But the big thing that we did is we bought an Xbox. And
Mm,
so when the kids are in there, they can be eating their lunch and they can be gaming. And so they are able to use some of their Spartan bucks to make a reservation to have lunch in the
cool.
children. And so that's pretty much an everyday kind of thing. And as soon as I tell the incoming kids, when I tell them about our system and I tell them about our Spartan bucks, and then I tell them about the gaming system, they're like all about that. So and again, that was something that they wanted to, what did they want to be able to do? Well, they wanted to be able to play video games with their friends.
Yeah.
Well, how could I do that? Well, this was a way that we could make that happen.
That is such a cool incentive. And I have to ask, like, does one student buy it and they invite some friends, or is it everyone pays their, so that's cool. So you have to all have enough points to go enjoy it together.
Yeah, everybody's got to pay their own way. That
Got it.
way, everybody that's enjoying the reward has really earned the reward. And sometimes, like, a group of kids will come to me and they'll say, like, can we make a reservation for the chill room today? And maybe somebody doesn't have enough. And
Hmm.
it's interesting. They'll say, all right, we'll come back another day. So like they'll wait until everybody in their group has enough Spartan bucks to be able
Versus
to.
leave a friend behind. But what positive peer pressure, right? That next week, I'm sure it's like, hey, they're probably cheering on their friend. Um, I think it's such a smart one too, because it's an investment a dollar investment that you make one time, as a school, but that's, hours and hours of endless fun for students to buy into. So it's a really creative reward idea.
Yeah.
I'd love to wrap up with some bigger picture questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
One I love asking about is this timeless debate between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. The idea that we all want ourselves and others to be driven by just the desire for growth and doing the right thing, even if nobody's looking. But on the other hand, we all like being recognized and rewarded. Really curious as an educator and a school leader how you think about those intention or working together and what your beliefs are about it.
Yeah. And I honestly think that in order for things to be successful, you have to have a little bit of both.
Mm,
It's nice to just expect that every kid is going to be intrinsically motivated and they'll want to do the right thing and they will do the right thing. And that's certainly what we're working towards. But we all respond to those extrinsic motivators as well. And just the idea that that extrinsic motivator might be out there and that you might do something that might earn you that extrinsic motivator sometimes gets you to do the right thing no matter what. And so it's got to be a blend, and that's why we talk about that kind of intermittent reward. You're not rewarding it every time you
mm,
get the behavior, but if you don't ever reward it, at some point the kids are going to say, "Well, what's in it for me?
yeah.
Like, why bother?" And so it's got to be a blend of both.
All right. And last but not least, if you could put up a billboard that every principal would see in the morning as they drive to work, any message that you've learned or come to really believe that you would want to share with others?
Well, I'll tell you that our mantra for our staff, and I believe this at my core. Our mantra is every student, every day, no matter what. That's what we believe. That's what we practice. And when I think about all of the things that we do to create a positive environment for our kids, it is that idea that it takes everyone, and every one of us can make an impact on a kid. And it's our job to create that kind of environment where kids want to come here every day.
Mm,
And ultimately they move on, and they're ready to move from middle school to high school, and we're excited for them when that happens. But we want them to be able to look back on their time in our school and say, you know what, it was pretty good. And that's what we're after.
yeah. Well, that's a really wonderful note to close on. It's definitely one of the most fun parts of my day, just to speak to you and hear what you all have been doing. So, thanks for all the hard work and focus that you and your team are putting into the positive. I think it's really a great example for others.
Right, I enjoyed chatting with you.